Have you noticed this strange moment? The moment right after you make a plan. You feel clear, motivated, almost relieved. You finally figured it out. The routine, the goal, the system. You even imagine yourself doing it. Waking up early, sticking to it, becoming the kind of person who follows through. And then, something fades. Not dramatically, not all at once. Just enough that the plan suddenly feels heavier, less alive, less urgent. You don't quit. You just drift. The notebook closes. The app goes unopened. The excitement quietly leaks out. And you think, what is wrong with me? Because this isn't the first time. There's a small graveyard in your mind. Plans that once felt important. Habits that mattered deeply for about 3 days. Versions of you that almost existed. And the confusing part is this. You liked the plan. You weren't forced into it. No one pressured you. It made sense. So why does your interest disappear? The moment the plan becomes real, most people blame discipline, or motivation, or laziness. They tell themselves they're inconsistent, undependable, broken in some quiet way. But let's be honest. You're not afraid of the work. You've worked hard before. You've pushed through difficult things. You've stayed up late for things that mattered. What drains you isn't effort. It's something else. Something that happens after the plan is made. Because planning feels light, clean, full of possibility. Execution feels narrow, heavy, defined. Planning is standing at the edge of a wide field. Execution is choosing one path and closing off the others. And that's where the feeling changes. Not because you're weak, but because something inside you notices a loss. When you make a plan, you don't just choose what to do. You quietly choose what not to do. Other paths fade. Other versions of you go silent. Other futures step out of focus. And no one talks about that grief. They just tell you to stay consistent. So when your energy drops, you assume it's a flaw. But what if it's a signal? What if the loss of interest is not failure, but a reaction? A response to something your mind is giving up. The moment the plan becomes solid. Before we talk about fixing this, we need to slow down. Because the problem isn't that you lose interest. The problem is that no one taught you what interest actually is and what it does. Once uncertainty disappears, there's a reason planning feels so good. It's not productivity. It's not clarity. It's freedom. When you're planning, everything is still possible. You haven't failed yet. You haven't chosen wrong yet. Nothing has closed. Your mind is standing in an open room with many doors. Execution is different. Execution is walking through one door and locking the rest behind you. And part of you panics. Not loudly, not consciously, quietly, because interest, for your mind, is not about action. It's about potential. The moment you make a plan, potential collapses into structure. Time gets involved. Expectations appear. Outcomes start demanding proof. And something that once felt alive now feels monitored, measured, observed. This is why your energy drops. Right after planning. Not during chaos. Not during confusion. After clarity. Because clarity removes mystery. And mystery is fuel. Think about how excited you feel before a trip. Not during the packing. Not at the airport. But when it's still undefined. When you can imagine 10 versions of how it might go. That's the same energy you feel when planning. But the plan itself is the end of imagination. Now it's real. Now it can disappoint you. Now can disappoint you. So your mind pulls back. Not because it hates progress, but because it hates narrowing too fast. Most advice ignores this. It says, once you decide, commit. But that assumes the mind is a machine. It's not. It's a storyteller. And when the story becomes too predictable, it loses interest. This is why you can research something for weeks and struggle to start it for 10 minutes. Why imagining feels energizing, but doing feels draining. You're not addicted to procrastination. You're attached to openness. And no one ever told you that closing doors costs energy, especially if your identity is tied to possibility. If you've always been the person with many interests, many ideas, many versions of yourself, then plans feel like cages, even when they're self-chosen. So the moment the plan demands loyalty, your curiosity quietly rebels, not to sabotage you, but to protect something it values. Before we fix this, we need to name it. You don't lose interest because you're undisciplined. You lose interest because the plan asks you to become smaller than your imagination. And that creates tension. The kind you can't power through. Only redesign. Here's the shift that changes everything. Interest is not fuel. It's a spark. And sparks are not meant to burn forever. Most people treat interest like a promise. They believe, if I was really meant to do this, I would stay excited. But excitement is not commitment. It's an invitation. Interest shows you the door. It is not supposed to carry you through the hallway. When interest fades, we assume the path is wrong. But often, it just means the novelty phase ended. And no one prepared you for that moment. Because culturally, we worship passion. We tell people, follow what excites you. But we never explain what happens after excitement leaves. So when the emotional high drops, you think you chose wrong, and you abandon the plan. Not because it failed, but because you mistook the spark for the engine. Here's the quiet truth. Interest loves beginnings. It hates maintenance. It shows up for possibility, not repetition. That doesn't make it unreliable. It makes it honest. The problem is not that interest fades. The problem is that your plan depends on it. You built a structure that requires enthusiasm to survive. That's like building a house that only stands in good weather. So the moment things feel ordinary, the system collapses. This is why you keep restarting. New plans, new systems, new versions of yourself. Each one gives you that initial lift, until reality arrives. Then the cycle repeats. But what if interest was never meant to stay? What if its job was simply to point, to say, look here, and then step aside? If that's true, then losing interest is not a sign to quit. It's a sign to switch modes. From inspiration to containment. From excitement to support. From imagination to structure that does not depend on mood. This is where most people fail. They try to force excitement back. You don't need to feel inspired. You need to feel *held star by something stable, something boring, something gentle. Because the mind that loves ideas also needs safety. And when safety is missing, it escapes into planning again. Before we talk about how to build that safety, we need to release something first. The shame. Because the version of you that loses interest is not immature. It's not flaky. It's responding exactly as it was built to respond. You don't need more willpower. You need a different relationship with interest itself. Here is the part no one teaches. How to keep going after interest leaves. Not by forcing yourself. Not by shaming yourself. Not by pretending you're suddenly a different person. But by designing a plan that understands how you actually work. Because the mistake was never starting. The mistake was building a plan that required you to feel inspired every day. That's too fragile. Instead, you need a plan that can survive boredom. A plan that assumes low energy, low excitement, low belief. This starts with something simple. Lower the emotional stakes. Right now, your plans are tied to identity. If I do this, I'm becoming someone. If I fail, it means something about me. That pressure drains interest faster than effort ever could. So we remove it. This is not my new lifestyle. This is not who I am now. This is a season. A small container. A temporary experiment. Nothing more. When your mind knows it's not a forever decision, it relaxes. Next, shrink the unit of commitment. Not I will do this every day. Not I will stick to this. Just I will show up badly. 10 minutes. 1 page. 1 messy attempt. Not to improve. Not to optimize. Just to stay in contact. Interest hates obligation, but it tolerates light touch. Then, separate planning from dreaming. Your imagination is powerful, but it overwhelms execution. So you give it a boundary. You dream freely, but only in one place. A notebook. A document. A box. Outside that space, you act small. This way, your curiosity feels respected, not suppressed. Finally, build a default path. Something you do when you don't know what to do. Not because it's exciting, but because it's familiar. Familiarity creates safety. Safety reduces escape. This is how progress actually happens. Quietly, imperfectly, without emotional fireworks. You don't need to feel interested. You need to feel allowed. To continue without passion. That permission is what keeps you moving. And once movement stabilizes, interest sometimes returns. Not as a spark, but as warmth. And warmth lasts longer. Here's what I want you to hear. Losing interest does not mean you were wrong. It means you passed the beginning. And beginnings are loud. They feel important, meaningful, charged. The middle is quiet. The middle feels ordinary, unimpressive, slow. That doesn't mean it's broken. It means it's real. You were never meant to feel excited forever. You were meant to feel steady sometimes, and unsure sometimes, and bored sometimes, and still continue. The version of you that keeps restarting plans is not weak. They are hopeful. They believe there is a version of life that feels aligned, alive, true. That belief is not the problem. The problem was thinking. You had to feel aligned. To stay aligned. You don't. You just need a path. That doesn't punish you for being human. A path that expects interest to fade. A path that doesn't turn low energy into a moral failure. You are not inconsistent. You are responsive. You respond to pressure, to narrowing, to identity weight. When things feel too heavy, your mind lets go. That's not sabotage. That's self-protection. So instead of asking, why can't I stick to anything? Try asking, what kind of structure would feel safe enough to stay? That question changes everything, because the answer is never more discipline. It's usually less pressure, smaller promises, more room to breathe. You don't need to become someone else. You need to build around who you already are. Someone who feels deeply, imagines widely, and loses interest when things become too tight. That's not a flaw. That's a signal. And now, you know how to listen to it. Not as an excuse to quit, but as information about how to continue. Gently, quietly, without forcing yourself forward. You don't need a perfect plan. You need one that lets you stay, even when the spark is gone. And if you've lost interest again, right now, That doesn't mean you failed. It just means you reached the part where real growth begins. And you're still here. That's enough.